Hey guys, tonight we journey back to the tranquil yet vibrant world of 15th century Flanders, a place where art thrived against a backdrop of bustling markets, guilds and lively towns. Picture yourself walking through cobbled streets, the air thick with the scent of fresh bread and the sound of laughter echoing off the timber-framed buildings. You might catch sight of a painter, canvas stretched tight, mixing vivid pigments under the soft glow of the sun, his brush dancing across the surface in a flurry of colour and light. But here's a cheeky thought. You probably won't survive this exploration of history's gentle lives if you can't appreciate the beauty of the mundane. So before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. And if you're feeling extra engaged, drop your location and local time in the comments. It's fascinating to think about how many of us are connected through time and space, sharing this moment together. Now, dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. To understand the enchanting world of 15th century Flemish artists, we must first appreciate the cultural landscape that birthed them. Flanders, a region that encompasses parts of modern-day Belgium, was a thriving hub of trade, innovation and artistic expression during this period. The towns of Bruges, Ghent and Antwerp were not just centres of commerce, they were also the crucibles where ideas sparked and flourished, leading to a visual revolution in art. Art during the 15th century was heavily influenced by the social and economic shifts of the time. The fall of feudalism and the rise of a wealthy merchant class created a demand for art that reflected both personal wealth and collective identity. Guilds formed, bringing artists together in communities that fostered collaboration, competition, and mutual support. This was a time when art was not merely a private endeavour but a public spectacle, celebrated and critiqued by society at large. Historians still argue whether the rise of these guilds was a boon or a bane for artistic freedom. On one hand, they provided a structured environment where artists could own their skills and gain recognition. On the other, they imposed restrictions on creativity, demanding adherence to certain styles and subjects. It's a bit like today's social media, where trends can sometimes stifle genuine expression in favour of what's popular or profitable. In the midst of this, a new generation of artists was emerging, ready to leave their mark on the world. They were not just painters, they were visionaries and innovators, driven by a desire to explore the depths of human experience through their work. One such artist that stands out from this vibrant tapestry is Jan van Eyck, whose mastery of oil painting would set a new standard for generations to come. As we continue our journey, keep in mind how the societal context of Flanders shaped these artists' lives and works. Imagine the smell of linseed oil mingling with the aroma of baked goods from a nearby bakery, the sounds of townsfolk discussing the latest art arrivals and the bright colours that splashed the walls of homes and churches. This was a time when art was alive, dynamic, and deeply intertwined with the very fabric of daily life. Transitioning away from this scene, let's take a moment to ponder the significance of art guilds, those early organisers of artistic endeavours. These guilds were not merely clubs for artists, they were vital institutions that governed the professional lives of painters. By setting standards for quality and ethics, they ensured that art was taken seriously as a profession. Membership in these guilds was a badge of honour, a signal that an artist had reached a certain level of competence and recognition. Imagine a guild meeting, where artists gathered to discuss techniques, share tips, and critique each other's work over a hearty meal of stews and breads. The camaraderie was palpable, the laughter infectious, yet the pressure to excel was ever present. Just like in today's art world, where critiques can make or break an artist's reputation, these gatherings were pivotal in determining who would thrive and who would fade into obscurity. Moreover, these guilds played a significant role in the economic aspect of artistry. They provided training opportunities for apprentices, ensuring that the skills of painting and craftsmanship were passed down through generations. This structured training allowed for a continuity of style and technique, resulting in the cohesive yet diverse body of work that defines Flemish art. Historians continue to debate the extent of influence guilds had on artistic freedom. Some argue that the restrictions placed on artists stifled innovation, while others contend that they fostered a competitive spirit that ultimately led to artistic advancements. It's a fascinating discussion, much like whether modern-day influences enhance or hinder creativity in the arts. As we reflect on the role of these guilds, consider how they parallel today's artistic communities. From online forums to local collectives, the essence of collaboration and support remains strong, proving that the need to connect with fellow creatives transcends time. As we move further into the heart of our exploration, we'll soon meet the artistic giants of this era, individuals whose works not only adorned walls, but also shaped the very essence of art as we know it today. Their stories are woven into the fabric of Flanders, waiting to be uncovered. Continuing our journey through 15th century Flanders, we now delve deeper into the fascinating world of art guilds, those essential institutions that shaped the careers of so many artists. Picture yourself in a dimly lit room, perhaps the meeting hall of a local guild, where the air vibrates with the energy of passionate discussions. You'd see a mix of seasoned painters, fresh-faced apprentices, and the occasional merchant, all gathered around a wooden table strewn with sketches and vibrant pigments. It's a space of learning, critique, and connection, where the future of Flemish artistry hangs in the balance. The rise of art guilds during this period was a response to the growing demand for quality art. As the merchant class flourished, so did their desire for beautiful objects that reflected their prosperity and taste. Guilds were formed to ensure that artists maintained a high standard of craftsmanship while also protecting their interests. It was a bit like an exclusive club, where membership signified not just talent but also a commitment to a shared set of values and practices. Among the most prominent guilds was the Ghent Guild of St. Luke, named after the patron saint of artists. This guild played an instrumental role in the careers of many notable painters, including the renowned Jan van Eyck. Imagine the pride of becoming a member of such a prestigious organization, knowing that your work would be critiqued and celebrated in equal measure. But with that honor came the weight of expectation. Artists had to consistently produce work that met the guild's rigorous standards. Historians still argue over how much artistic freedom these guilds allowed. Some assert that the structured environment fostered creativity by providing artists with the support they needed to experiment, while others contend that the pressure to conform to established norms stifled individuality. It's reminiscent of today's creative industries, where the balance between originality and market expectations can often feel precarious. As you ponder the complexities of this artistic landscape, consider the apprenticeship system that was integral to these guilds. Young artists would often begin their training in their teenage years, spending years learning the trade under the watchful eyes of established masters. These apprenticeships were demanding, both physically and mentally, requiring long hours of hard work to master techniques like mixing pigments or preparing canvases. Imagine a young apprentice, clutching a palette with trembling hands, as they watch their mentor create a masterpiece. The smells of linseed oil and freshly ground pigments fill the room, while the sounds of their mentor's brush gliding across the canvas provide a rhythm to their learning. This immersive experience was critical for the development of skills and the cultivation of personal style, much like a modern-day internship that offers invaluable real-world experience. Yet, it wasn't all solemnity and hard work. Gatherings within these guilds often turned into lively feasts, filled with laughter, camaraderie, and a shared love for art. Here, stories would be exchanged, tips shared, and inspiration ignited. Just like today's art fairs or community workshops, these occasions fostered relationships that would lead to collaborations and innovations, pushing the boundaries of what was possible within the realm of art. In this vibrant atmosphere, the competition was fierce. Artists strived to distinguish themselves, often developing signature styles that would become their trademarks. The guilds, rather than suppressing creativity, ignited a fire of ambition within their members. This is where the true magic of Flemish art began to blossom, as artists pushed the envelope, experimenting with new techniques and styles. As we shift our focus towards the artists who thrived in this environment, we cannot overlook the contributions of Jan van Eyck. He is often regarded as the father of oil painting, a technique that allowed for unprecedented depth of color and detail. Van Eyck's works were not just paintings, they were windows into the human soul, rich with emotion and intricate symbolism. Historians still debate whether Van Eyck's innovations were purely his own or the result of collaborative influences from his peers. Regardless of the answer, his mastery of oil paint set a benchmark for artists that followed, much like how certain modern artists have defined movements and genres through their groundbreaking techniques. Imagine standing before one of Van Eyck's most famous works, the Arnolfini portrait. The intricate details, the glimmer of the chandelier, the textures of the fabrics, and the reflections in the mirror are astonishing. Each element tells a story, inviting viewers to gaze deeper. In many ways, these paintings were a form of communication, conveying not just the subject's wealth but their personalities, aspirations, and the values of their time. As we reflect on this exchange of ideas and techniques within the guilds, consider how these collective efforts shaped the very essence of Flemish art. Just like today's artist communities, the guild system created an environment where creativity could flourish, fueled by collaboration and competition. In our next section, we'll take a closer look at Jan van Eyck himself, exploring his life, his groundbreaking techniques, and the indelible impact he had on the art world. His story is not just one of talent, but also of determination, innovation, and the relentless pursuit of beauty. Prepare to dive into the mind of a master artist, whose legacy continues to inspire and captivate even in our modern age. As we step deeper into the heart of 15th century Flemish art, allow yourself to be transported into the life and times of one of its most illustrious figures, Jan van Eyck. Imagine a dimly lit workshop filled with the heady aroma of linseed oil and the vibrant hues of freshly ground pigments. You can almost hear the soft scratching of his brush as it glides across the canvas, creating intricate details that would leave viewers spellbound. Van Eyck wasn't just a painter, he was a master of his craft, and his artistry would set the standard for generations to come. Born around 1390 in the town of Maaseik, Van Eyck's early life is shrouded in mystery, much like the enigmatic subjects he often portrayed. Historians still debate the details of his upbringing, but what is clear is that he emerged as a prominent artist in the Burgundian court under Philip the Good. This was a time when the arts flourished under the patronage of the wealthy nobility, and Van Eyck quickly carved out a name for himself with his remarkable talent. What truly set Jan van Eyck apart was his pioneering use of oil paint. While this medium had been around for some time, he perfected its use, allowing for a depth and richness of colour that was previously unattainable. Imagine the excitement in the artist's heart as he realized the potential of this new technique, being able to layer colors, create luminous skin tones, and achieve an unparalleled level of detail. His paintings shimmered with light, drawing viewers into a world that felt almost three-dimensional. Historians still argue about the precise methods Van Eyck employed to achieve his stunning effects. Some suggest that he utilized a technique involving multiple thin glazes, layering color upon color, to build depth. Others believe he may have experimented with secret formulas of his own invention. Regardless of the specifics, the outcome was clear. Jan van Eyck had mastered oil painting in a way that transformed the art landscape. One of his most famed works, the Arnolfini portrait, is a mesmerizing study of wealth, marriage, and the subtleties of human emotion. As you gaze upon this painting, you can't help but notice the meticulous details, reflections in the mirror, the texture of the fabrics, and the gentle play of light. Each element serves a purpose, telling a story of the couple's life and status, while inviting the viewer to ponder the nature of their relationship. But there's more than just technical prowess at play here. Van Eyck was a master of symbolism, and the Arnolfini portrait is rife with hidden meanings. The presence of the dog symbolizes loyalty, while the oranges on the windowsill are thought to represent wealth and exoticism. Each brushstroke is laden with significance, drawing viewers into an intricate web of narrative and emotion. Historians still debate the full extent of these symbols and what they reveal about the socio-cultural context of the time. As we explore Van Eyck's legacy, we must also consider how his influence rippled through the art world. His meticulous attention to detail and innovative techniques inspired a generation of artists who followed in his footsteps. Think of the excitement that must have buzzed through the workshops as young painters sought to emulate his style and techniques, much like the creative fervor that sweeps through art schools today. Just as modern artists experiment and adapt their influences, Van Eyck's contemporaries were inspired to push the boundaries of their own creativity. Among these contemporaries was Rogier van der Weyden, whose emotive style was heavily influenced by Van Eyck's work. Imagine standing in a bustling workshop filled with the chatter of artists, each one competing to capture the ethereal quality of Van Eyck's paintings. The camaraderie and rivalry would have created an atmosphere ripe for innovation, leading to the evolution of new styles and techniques that would define the Northern Renaissance. Interestingly, Van Eyck's work wasn't confined to the walls of churches and noble homes. He also painted smaller, more intimate pieces that appealed to a broader audience. These works often featured everyday subjects or allegorical themes, bringing art into the lives of ordinary people. This mirrors the modern trend of accessibility in art, where artists strive to connect with audiences through relatable themes and narratives. As we reflect on Van Eyck's impact, consider how his innovations set the stage for the flourishing of Flemish art as it moved into the latter part of the 15th century. His legacy is not just in the stunning visuals he created, but also in the way he reshaped the very nature of painting itself. Just like the ongoing dialogues we have about art today, the discussions sparked by Van Eyck's techniques and themes opened up new avenues for exploration and expression. With Van Eyck as our guide, we now turn our focus to the significant role of religion in Flemish art. The spiritual landscape of 15th century Flanders was rich and complex, and it played an essential part in shaping the themes and subjects that artists like Van Eyck explored. In our next section, we'll delve into how religious beliefs influence the artworks of this era, revealing the deep connection between faith, society, and artistic expression. As we turn our gaze toward the spiritual landscape of 15th century Flanders, envision a world where the sacred and the everyday intertwine seamlessly. Imagine walking through a grand cathedral, the air thick with incense and the soft, melodic hum of prayers. The stained glass windows cast a kaleidoscope of colors onto the stone floor, illuminating figures of saints and biblical scenes that tell profound stories of faith and devotion. In this environment, religion wasn't just a backdrop, it was the very essence of life, deeply influencing the art that emerged during this period. In Flanders, the Catholic Church wielded immense power, and its influence extended far beyond the spiritual realm. It was a patron of the arts, commissioning countless works to adorn churches, chapels, and altar pieces. Artists were tasked with creating pieces that would evoke awe and inspire the faithful, reflecting the grandeur of the divine. The result was a flourishing of sacred art that would define the aesthetic landscape of the time. The most renowned artists, including Jan van Eyck, often found themselves at the service of the church. His piece, the Ghent altarpiece, is a magnificent polyptych that captures the viewer with its intricate details and vibrant colors. Imagine standing before this monumental work, taking in the myriad of figures and symbols. Each panel tells a story from the Annunciation to the Ascension, inviting the viewer to engage with the spiritual narrative in a tangible way. Historians continue to debate the extent to which artists were free to interpret religious themes. Some argue that they were bound by strict iconographic conventions, while others contend that artists like Van Eyck infused their works with personal touches, allowing for a unique expression of faith. This is reminiscent of today's debates over artistic license. How much freedom should an artist have to reinterpret traditional themes? In addition to grand altarpieces, smaller devotional works became increasingly popular during this period. These intimate pieces were designed for personal contemplation, allowing individuals to connect with the divine in their homes. Imagine a well-worn prayer book, its pages adorned with delicate illustrations of saints and biblical stories, providing solace and inspiration to its owner. This accessibility of religious art played a vital role in deepening the spiritual lives of the laity. One of the most captivating aspects of Flemish religious art is the symbolism embedded within. Artists employed a rich language of symbols to convey complex theological ideas, often using everyday objects to communicate profound truths. For instance, the presence of a simple candle might symbolize the light of Christ, while a bowl of water could represent baptism. Historians still debate the specific meanings of various symbols, teasing apart layers of interpretation that enrich our understanding of the art. Consider the role of the Virgin Mary in Flemish art, a figure that often embodies purity, motherhood, and compassion. Artists captured her in various guises, from serene Madonna and child scenes to powerful representations of her intercessory role. These depictions served not only to honor Mary, but also to connect viewers with their own experiences of love and devotion, reflecting the universal nature of faith. As we shift our focus to the everyday lives of the artists themselves, it's essential to recognize how their environments shaped their work. Picture an artist at his easel, illuminated by the soft glow of a window, taking a moment to reflect on his own faith as he paints. Much like today's artists who draw inspiration from personal experiences, the spiritual lives of these creators informed their artistic choices, revealing a deep connection between the artist and the divine. The daily rituals of life in Flanders also found their way into the artwork. Imagine a bustling market scene, where vendors display their wares, fresh produce, textiles and trinkets while the church bells ring in the background. These compositions tell the story of a society steeped in faith, where every aspect of life, from work to worship, intertwined seamlessly. Interestingly, the Reformation movement began to stir during this period, challenging the established norms of the church. The shift would eventually lead to significant changes in religious art, but for now, artists remained deeply embedded in the traditions of Catholicism. As society grappled with these changes, the art produced during this time both reflected and shaped the evolving beliefs and practices of the people. In our next section, we'll take a leisurely stroll through the everyday lives of these artists, exploring their routines, meals and leisure activities and how these experiences influenced their creative output. The interplay between their mundane realities and the extraordinary art they created reveals a rich tapestry of life that extends beyond the canvas, inviting us to see the humanity behind the masterpieces. As we step away from the grandiosity of religious art and delve into the everyday lives of 15th century Flemish artists, imagine a world where the mundane and the creative coexist harmoniously. Picture yourself wandering through a bustling town square in Flanders, where the aroma of freshly baked bread wafts through the air and the cheerful chatter of townsfolk fills your ears. Artists lived not in isolation, but amid a vibrant community, deeply influenced by the rhythms of daily life. The daily routines of these artists were often quite humble, marked by a mix of labor and inspiration. Imagine waking up before dawn, the soft light filtering through the window as an artist prepares for a day of work. The first order of business might be a hearty breakfast of bread, cheese, and perhaps some ale staple for many in Flanders. This simple meal fueled their creative endeavors, providing the energy needed to face long hours of painting and craftsmanship. Historians still debate the precise details of an artist's daily life, largely due to the scant records from the period. But what remains clear is that the act of creating art was often intertwined with the practicalities of earning a living. Artists were not merely dreamers, they were skilled craftsmen who needed to balance their artistic ambitions with the demands of their patrons. This can feel quite relatable in today's world, where many creatives juggle passions with the realities of everyday obligations. Once the breakfast dishes were cleared, the real work began. Imagine the artists settling into their workspace, surrounded by canvases, brushes and jars of pigments. The smell of linseed oil and turpentine fills the room, creating an environment ripe for creativity. Here, the artist would spend hours honing their craft, mixing colors, and experimenting with techniques to achieve the desired effects. This dedication to their work reflects a profound commitment to their art, one that resonated deeply with their patrons and the community. But life wasn't all about work and solitude. Artists also participated in the vibrant social fabric of their towns. Picture them attending local festivals, where music, food, and laughter filled the air. These gatherings were essential for building relationships and networks, much like modern-day art fairs or gallery openings. They provided opportunities for artists to showcase their work, share ideas, and collaborate with fellow creatives. In these lively settings, artists would often draw inspiration from the people and events around them. Imagine a bustling market scene, where colourful stalls burst with fresh produce and vendors haggled over prices. The sights and sounds would spark the artist's imagination, leading to vibrant depictions of everyday life. It's not unlike the way contemporary artists draw from their urban environments, creating art that reflects the vitality of modern society. As the day drew to a close, artists often found solace in quiet moments of reflection. They might gather with fellow painters to share meals, discuss their latest projects, or simply enjoy each other's company. These moments of camaraderie were crucial for fostering a sense of community among artists, reinforcing the idea that creativity flourishes in collaboration and connection. Imagine a gathering around a wooden table, where laughter mingles with the clinking of glasses and the aroma of hearty stew. It's easy to picture them sharing stories of their artistic journeys, offering insights, and even critiquing each other's work. This sense of fellowship would have been a source of motivation, pushing artists to strive for excellence while nurturing their unique voices. Historians still ponder the extent to which these social relationships influenced the artists' works. Did the conversations they had over dinner inspire new themes, or did the critiques from peers drive them to innovate further? These are questions that echo through time, reminding us of the interconnectedness of creativity and community. Beyond the social and creative aspects, the financial realities of life as an artist were ever present. Many artists were part of guilds, which provided both support and restrictions. They had to navigate the delicate balance of fulfilling commissions, while also maintaining their artistic integrity. Imagine the pressure of meeting a wealthy patron's expectations while striving to create something truly original. This tension resonates with many modern artists who must balance personal expression with commercial viability. Yet, amidst these challenges, there was joy in the act of creation. Each brushstroke represented not just a job but a passionate calling to capture the beauty of the world around them. This joy is palpable in the works they produced, filled with vibrant colours, intricate details, and lively scenes of everyday life. Just as today's artists find fulfillment in their creative pursuits, so too did these Flemish painters pour their hearts into their art. As we wrap up our exploration of the daily lives of these artists, it becomes evident that their experiences were deeply intertwined with their creative expressions. Their lives, marked by both struggle and celebration, laid the foundation for the masterpieces that would come to define Flemish art. Next, we'll turn our attention to the patrons who funded these artistic endeavours, exploring how their tastes and influences shaped the art of the time. Patrons were more than just financial backers, they were integral to the artistic landscape, driving the direction of creativity and innovation in the 15th century. As we transition from the lovely studios of 15th century Flemish artists to the opulent halls of their patrons, imagine yourself stepping into a grand residence filled with the scent of fine food and the echo of laughter. Here, wealthy merchants, noblemen and church officials gather, their walls adorned with exquisite artworks that reflect not just their wealth but their status and sophistication. These patrons were the lifeblood of the artistic community, and their influence was profound and far-reaching. In Flanders, the rise of a wealthy merchant class during the 15th century created an unprecedented demand for art. Wealthy individuals sought to showcase their prosperity through the acquisition of beautiful and meaningful works. Imagine the thrill of an artist receiving a commission from a prominent merchant, knowing that their work would be displayed in a location that spoke volumes about the owner's taste and refinement. This dynamic relationship between artist and patron was essential for the flourishing of art during this period. Patrons commissioned a wide variety of works, from grand altarpieces designed for churches to intimate portrait paintings that captured their likenesses. Each commission came with its own set of expectations and guidelines, often reflecting the patron's personal beliefs, interests, and social aspirations. Artists had to navigate this landscape carefully, balancing their creative vision with the desires of those who funded their work. It's akin to the modern artist's challenge of satisfying both their creative impulses and the demands of clients or galleries. Historians still debate the extent to which patrons influenced artistic choices. Were artists merely executing the whims of their sponsors, or did they find ways to infuse their personal styles into the commissions? This question echoes in contemporary discussions about artistic integrity versus commercial success, where the line can often feel blurred. One prominent patron of the time was Philip the Good, Duke of Burgundy, whose extensive court attracted some of the most talented artists of the era, including Jan van Eyck and Rogier van der Weyden. Imagine the lavish banquets held in his honor, where artists mingled with nobility and shared ideas, forming connections that would shape the future of art in Flanders. The Duke's support played a critical role in establishing a cultural renaissance, making the court a hub of creativity and innovation. The artworks, commissioned by Philip the Good, were not solely for aesthetic pleasure, they also served political functions. Many pieces were designed to communicate power, wealth, and divine favor. For instance, altarpieces commissioned for chapels were often laden with symbolism intended to reflect the Duke's piety and reinforce his authority. Just as modern political figures might commission public art to enhance their image, these nobles used art to bolster their status and legacy. Meanwhile, the rise of the middle class brought about a new type of patron, wealthy merchants who sought to immortalize their achievements and family lineage. Imagine a merchant commissioning a portrait to display in their home, highlighting their achievements and taste. The portrait would serve as a statement of both personal and familial identity, reinforcing their place within the social hierarchy. This trend paved the way for the portraiture movement, which would flourish in the years to come. Interestingly, many of these merchants also commissioned paintings that depicted scenes of everyday life, from bustling market stalls to serene landscapes. These works not only celebrated the beauty of the world around them, but also reflected the patron's values and aspirations. Historians still explore the question of how closely these artworks mirror the realities of life in Flanders, considering whether they idealize or accurately depict the social context of the time. The relationship between artists and patrons was often complex. While patrons provided essential financial support, they also imposed expectations and constraints. Imagine an artist feeling the pressure to adhere to a specific style or theme dictated by a patron. This tension between artistic freedom and commercial obligation resonates in today's creative industries, where many artists grapple with the demands of clients while striving to maintain their individuality. Yet, despite these challenges, the collaboration between artists and patrons often resulted in masterpieces that would stand the test of time. The vibrant colors, intricate details, and emotional depth of these works speak to the shared vision between the artist and their benefactor. As we consider the impact of patronage on Flemish art, it becomes evident that these relationships were not merely transactional, they fostered a cultural exchange that enriched both parties. As we leave the world of patrons behind, let's now turn our attention to the innovations that emerged during this vibrant era. We'll explore the artistic techniques that defined Flemish art, revealing how these advancements shaped the way artists expressed their visions and interacted with their subjects. The journey of discovery continues, promising to unveil the creativity and ingenuity that characterized this remarkable period. As we immerse ourselves in the artistic innovations of 15th century Flanders, picture a bustling workshop where artists are experimenting with new techniques and materials, their palettes bursting with colors that beg to be mixed and layered. This was a period of remarkable progress, where the boundaries of artistic expression were being pushed, and the techniques developed during this time would influence generations to come. One of the most significant innovations was the refinement of oil painting, which had been around, but was transformed into a powerful medium through the efforts of artists like Jan van Eyck. Imagine watching him meticulously layering translucent glazes, allowing the underlying colors to shine through, creating a depth and luminosity that made the surfaces of his paintings appear almost alive. This technique allowed for greater detail and a richness of color that was previously unattainable with traditional tempera paints, which often dried too quickly and lacked the vibrancy of oils. Historians still debate the precise techniques Van Eyck utilized. Some suggest he might have used a combination of oils and varnishes to achieve this stunning effects seen in works like the Ghent altarpiece. Others propose he experimented with secret formulas that gave his paintings their unique qualities. Whatever the case may be, it's clear that his mastery of oil painting set a new standard in the art world, much like contemporary artists who innovate with new materials or digital tools to expand their creative possibilities. Beyond oil painting, artists in Flanders also made strides in other areas, such as perspective and composition. The use of linear perspective was still in its infancy during this period, but artists began experimenting with spatial relationships, creating a sense of depth in their works. Imagine standing in front of a painting where the architecture recedes into the background, drawing your eye deeper into the scene. This newfound ability to manipulate space added a dimensional quality, transforming flat canvases into immersive environments. The introduction of atmospheric perspective where objects in the distance are rendered with less clarity, and a bluish hue also became a hallmark of Flemish art. This technique enhanced the illusion of depth and distance, allowing viewers to feel as though they were peering into a vast landscape, much like a modern film director uses camera angles to create narrative depth. Artists like Pieter Bruegel the Elder would later capitalize on these innovations, crafting sweeping scenes that captured the essence of rural life and the beauty of the Flemish countryside. Compositionally, Flemish artists often employed triangular arrangements, guiding the viewer's eye through the work and creating a sense of harmony. This approach not only made paintings visually appealing but also reinforced the narrative or thematic elements within the artwork. Imagine a scene where the central figures are arranged in a triangle, drawing your gaze from one element to another, each telling its own part of the story. While these innovations were primarily technical, they also reflected a broader cultural movement toward realism and humanism. Artists began to depict not just religious themes, but also everyday life, capturing the humanity of their subjects with a level of empathy and detail that made them relatable. This shift paved the way for a more personal and emotional connection between the viewer and the artwork. Consider the portrayal of ordinary people in art, from laborers in the fields to families gathered around a table. These intimate depictions resonated with patrons who saw their own lives reflected in the works, bridging the gap between the sacred and the secular. This connection echoes in today's art world, where artists often draw inspiration from their own experiences and the lives of those around them. Historians continue to explore the implications of this shift towards realism. Did it democratize art, allowing it to reach a broader audience, or did it serve to elevate the status of the upper classes by depicting their lives and values? These questions remind us that art is not created in a vacuum. It is a reflection of the society that produces it. As we explore these artistic innovations, we cannot overlook the importance of collaboration and knowledge sharing among artists. Imagine workshops filled with eager apprentices watching masters at work, absorbing techniques and ideas that would shape their own artistic journeys. The exchange of ideas happened not only within guilds but across borders as Flemish artists interacted with their contemporaries throughout Europe, sharing insights that sparked further innovation. With this vibrant foundation laid down through innovation and collaboration, we now turn our attention to a specific artistic genre that emerged during this time: portraiture. In our next section, we'll delve into the evolution of portrait painting in Flanders, exploring how artists captured the essence of individual identity while reflecting the broader social context of their time. Prepare to discover the faces behind the art and the stories that continue to resonate through the ages. As we delve into the world of portraiture in 15th century Flanders, imagine stepping into a grand hall where the walls are lined with captivating images of individuals, each one a window into the soul of its subject. Portrait painting evolved during this period into a celebrated genre, allowing artists to explore the complexities of identity, status and character in ways that had profound implications for both the art world and society at large. At the heart of this artistic evolution was the burgeoning interest in individualism, a concept that was gaining traction during the Renaissance. People began to see themselves not just as part of a collective but as unique beings with their own personalities, aspirations and stories. This shift in perception was mirrored in the art of the time, as artists sought to capture the essence of their subjects with unprecedented depth and detail. Imagine a painter setting up their easel in a sunlit studio, preparing to capture the likeness of a wealthy merchant. The artist carefully studies their subject, paying attention to the subtle nuances of expression, the play of light on their features, and the richness of their attire. This attention to detail reflects not only the technical skill of the artist, but also the growing importance of personal identity and the portrayal of individuals. One of the pioneering figures in this genre was Jan van Eyck, who created groundbreaking portraits that blended realism with a sense of character. His famous work, The Portrait of a Man, showcases the artist's ability to convey not just physical likeness, but also psychological depth. Historians still debate whether this particular painting was a formal commission or a personal exploration, highlighting the dual nature of portraiture as both an artistic endeavor and a reflection of societal values. As we explore this genre, it's essential to consider the role of the sitter in the portrait-making process. Patrons often had specific ideas about how they wanted to be depicted, reflecting their status, wealth, and aspirations. Imagine a nobleman commissioning a portrait that displays his finest attire and a confident posture, signaling his power and influence. The inclusion of symbolic elements such as an elaborate background or an emblem would further enhance the narrative, making the portrait not just a likeness, but a statement of identity. Historians still examine the interplay between the artist's vision and the sitter's desires, pondering how much agency the subject had in their representation. While some portraits were indeed collaborative efforts, allowing for a blend of personal expression and artistic interpretation, others leaned more heavily on the artist's unique style and perspective. This negotiation between the subject and the artist can feel reminiscent of today's discussions about authenticity in portraiture, where contemporary artists often grapple with how to portray their subjects genuinely while incorporating their artistic sensibilities. The rise of portraiture during this time was also a reflection of broader societal trends. As the middle class grew in wealth and influence, individuals sought to establish their identities through art. Portraits became a means of social mobility, allowing sitters to visually assert their status in a society that increasingly valued personal achievement. Imagine a family commissioning a portrait to hang prominently in their home, not just for personal enjoyment, but as a way to signal their place within the community. Self-portraiture also flourished during this period, providing artists with a unique opportunity to explore their own identities. Jan van Eyck's contemporaries, such as Rogier van der Weyden, created striking self-portraits that revealed not just their physical appearance, but also their artistic philosophies. These self-explorations resonate with modern artists who often use self-portraiture as a means of introspection and personal expression, creating dialogues between themselves and their audiences. As portraiture gained popularity, artists began to experiment with varying styles and techniques. While the meticulous attention to detail remained a hallmark of Flemish portraits, some artists incorporated elements of symbolism and allegory, adding layers of meaning to their works. This approach invites the viewer to engage with the painting beyond the surface, prompting reflections on the nature of identity and the complexities of human experience. Historians continue to explore how these portraits can be seen as both personal artifacts and cultural documents. They provide insights not only into the lives of the individuals depicted but also into the social dynamics and values of 15th century Flanders. Each portrait is a snapshot of a moment in time, rich with context and meaning. As we wrap up our exploration of Flemish portraiture, it's evident that this genre did more than simply capture likenesses. It shaped the way individuals understood themselves and their place in society. With a foundation laid down in individuality and character, we now turn our focus to the intricate world of symbolism and hidden meanings within Flemish paintings. In our next section, we'll uncover the layers of meaning in these works, revealing how artists communicated complex ideas through visual storytelling. As we immerse ourselves in the intricate world of symbolism within 15th century Flemish paintings, envision a gallery filled with vibrant works, each one rich with hidden meanings and intricate details that invite closer inspection. These artworks were not mere decorations, but carefully crafted narratives, laden with symbolism that conveyed complex ideas about faith, morality, and human experience. Flemish artists were masters at embedding symbols into their compositions, using everyday objects and figures to convey profound messages. Imagine standing before a painting featuring a seemingly simple still life, where every item holds significance. A single flower might symbolize the fleeting nature of life, while a glass of wine could represent both celebration and the blood of Christ. Every brushstroke is intentional, and each element serves to enhance the viewer's understanding of the underlying themes. One of the most iconic examples of this practice is found in Jan van Eyck's The Arnolfini portrait. While this masterpiece is celebrated for its realism and technical brilliance, it is equally renowned for its rich symbolism. The presence of the dog is often interpreted as a symbol of loyalty, while the elegant chandelier overhead may signify divine light. The round mirror in the background reflects the couple and the artist himself, suggesting a connection between the viewer and the subjects. Historians still debate the full extent of these symbols, pondering whether they represent the couple's marital fidelity or even a broader commentary on society. As we look deeper into the symbolism of Flemish art, it's essential to recognize that artists often drew from a wealth of cultural and religious references. The use of biblical themes was pervasive, with many paintings depicting scenes from scripture. These works served both instructional and devotional purposes, guiding the faithful in their understanding of complex theological concepts. For instance, the Annunciation, a popular subject, was often portrayed with rich visual cues that highlighted Mary's purity and the divine nature of the event. Imagine an artist painting the moment of the Annunciation, with the angel Gabriel presenting a lily, a symbol of purity, to Mary. The way these elements are composed tells a story of faith, obedience, and the miraculous. Such imagery resonated deeply with viewers, reinforcing their beliefs while providing a visual feast of color and detail. Interestingly, symbolism in Flemish art was not always straightforward. Artists often used ambiguous imagery that left room for interpretation, inviting viewers to engage with the work on a more personal level. This practice parallels contemporary art, where ambiguity can prompt discussions about meaning and intention. What was the artist's intention? What does it evoke in the viewer? These questions create a dialogue between the artwork and its audience, making the experience of viewing art a dynamic exchange. Historians continue to explore the myriad interpretations of symbols in Flemish paintings, leading to rich discussions about how context, culture, and individual perspectives shape our understanding of art. The layers of meaning become particularly fascinating when we consider how these symbols were perceived by contemporary audiences versus how they resonate with us today. In addition to overt religious symbolism, artists also often embedded moral lessons within their works. For example, a painting depicting a Vanitasa, genre that emphasizes the transience of life, might feature skulls, wilting flowers, or hourglasses to remind viewers of the inevitability of death. These cautionary tales encouraged viewers to reflect on their lives, prompting them to consider what truly matters in the fleeting nature of existence. As we navigate through these symbolic landscapes, it's crucial to acknowledge the role of the artist as both a creator and a storyteller. Artists like Jan van Eyck and Rogier van der Weyden were acutely aware of the power of visual language and utilized it to engage with their audiences on multiple levels. They were not just painting for the sake of beauty, they were crafting narratives rich with meaning, inviting viewers to ponder the complexities of their own lives and beliefs. Now that we've unraveled the layers of symbolism in Flemish art, let's turn our attention to the impact of trade on the artistic landscape of the time. In our next section, we'll explore how growing trade routes and cultural exchanges influenced the art produced in Flanders, enriching the creative endeavors of its artists and expanding their horizons. This exploration promises to reveal how interconnected the world truly was, even in the 15th century. As we embark on our exploration of the impact of trade on the artistic landscape of 15th century Flanders, imagine a thriving marketplace bustling with activity. Picture the vibrant sounds of merchants shouting offers, the rich aromas of spices filling the air, and the colorful fabrics from distant lands displayed in an array of stalls. This was a time when trade routes not only connected cities but also facilitated a remarkable exchange of ideas, materials, and artistic influences that would shape the course of Flemish art. Flanders, strategically positioned at the crossroads of Europe, became a crucial hub for trade during this period. The rise of prosperous towns like Bruges and Antwerp created an environment ripe for economic growth and cultural exchange. As merchants traveled vast distances to procure exotic goods, they brought back not only spices and textiles but also artistic ideas and techniques from Italy, the Middle East, and beyond. The fusion of these influences enriched the creative landscape, allowing Flemish artists to experiment with new styles and themes. Imagine an artist working in their studio, surrounded by a plethora of materials imported from far-flung places: bright pigments from the East, luxurious fabrics from Italy, and intricate metalwork from Germany. The availability of these resources inspired artists to push the boundaries of their creativity. For instance, the introduction of new pigments allowed for more vibrant color palettes, leading to the stunning luminosity seen in works by Jan van Eyck and his contemporaries. Historians still debate the extent to which these external influences shaped Flemish art. Some argue that the influx of ideas diluted local styles, while others contend that it invigorated the artistic community, prompting innovation and experimentation. Just like today's globalized arts scene, where cross-cultural collaborations often lead to new movements, the exchange of ideas during this period fostered a dynamic environment that benefited artists and patrons alike. The prosperity brought about by trade significantly impacted the patronage of artists. Wealthy merchants, who were increasingly influential in society, sought to display their success through art. Imagine a merchant commissioning a grand altarpiece for their local church, not only as a gesture of piety but also as a status symbol, elevating their standing within the community. These commissions fueled the demand for artwork, providing artists with the financial support they needed to thrive. Moreover, the rise of the middle class created new opportunities for artists to engage with a broader audience. Merchants and townsfolk desired art that reflected their experiences and aspirations. This shift prompted artists to explore themes of everyday life, capturing the essence of their surroundings and the people within them. Imagine a painting depicting a lively marketplace, where vendors and shoppers interact amidst a backdrop of colorful stalls. Such scenes resonated with patrons, who saw their own lives reflected in the art they collected. Trade routes also facilitated the movement of artists, allowing them to travel and work in various locations. Imagine an artist leaving their hometown to work in a bustling city like Bruges, where they could interact with other creatives and share techniques. This mobility led to the development of unique regional styles, each influenced by the local culture and the broader currents of artistic thought. Just as today's artists often travel to gain new perspectives, these early painters found inspiration in the diversity of their experiences. Interestingly, the impact of trade extended beyond the material realm. Cultural exchanges in art, literature, and philosophy flourished, leading to a rich tapestry of ideas that artists could draw upon. The humanist movement, with its focus on individual experience and classical knowledge, found a fertile ground in Flanders. Artists began to incorporate humanist themes into their works, reflecting a growing interest in the human condition and the exploration of emotion. As we consider the interconnectedness of trade and art during this period, it becomes evident that the two were inextricably linked. The availability of resources, the shifting dynamics of patronage, and the exchange of cultural ideas all contributed to a vibrant artistic environment that encouraged innovation and experimentation. With this understanding of the role trade played in shaping Flemish art, we now turn our attention to the lasting legacy of the artists who flourished during this time. In our next section, we'll reflect on how these artists have influenced generations, leaving an indelible mark that continues to resonate in the art world today. Prepare to discover the echoes of the past and the ways in which these early masters have shaped contemporary artistic practices. As we shift our focus to the lasting legacy of 15th-century Flemish artists, imagine walking through the halls of a modern art gallery, where the echoes of the past hum softly in the air. The works of Jan van Eyck, Rogier van der Weyden, and their contemporaries still inspire awe, their techniques and innovations resonating through the centuries. This legacy is a testament to the profound impact these artists had on the art world, one that continues to influence and shape artistic expression today. One of the most significant ways in which Flemish artists left their mark was through their pioneering techniques in oil painting. The methods developed by masters like Van Eyck revolutionized the medium, allowing for unprecedented depth, detail, and luminosity. Imagine contemporary artists, inspired by this legacy, experimenting with oil paints in modern studios, layering glazes to create rich textures that reflect the vibrancy of life. The groundwork laid by these early innovators continues to inform the practices of today's painters, who draw from centuries of knowledge and tradition. Artists following in the footsteps of their Flemish predecessors embraced the meticulous attention to detail that characterized their works. The precision of textures, the play of light and shadow, and the capturing of human emotion are hallmarks that resonate in contemporary portraiture and still life. Think of how today's artists might look to the techniques of Van Eyck and his peers, not merely to replicate their styles but to channel the same sense of engagement and emotional depth in their own work. Their influence is felt in everything from realistic portraiture to intricate still-life paintings, where every element tells a story. Moreover, the thematic explorations of Flemish artists have had a lasting impact on the narratives conveyed in art. The humanist focus on individual experience and emotion set the stage for later developments in Western art, paving the way for the Renaissance's exploration of the human condition. Imagine walking through a contemporary exhibition featuring portraits that echo the emotional complexity found in Rogier van der Weyden's works, where every expression tells a story of its own. This connection between past and present illustrates how the themes of identity, mortality, and spirituality remain ever relevant. Additionally, the rich symbolism embedded in Flemish art has continued to inspire modern artists who seek to imbue their works with layers of meaning. The tradition of using everyday objects to convey deeper truths can be seen in contemporary art movements that prioritize narrative and symbolism over mere representation. Consider how today's artists might incorporate elements from their environment, whether it be a discarded object or a mundane senator comment on modern life, much like their Flemish predecessors did centuries ago. The influence of Flemish art extends beyond the traditional boundaries of painting. It has permeated various artistic disciplines. The intricate designs and motifs found in Flemish tapestries, for instance, continue to inspire textile artists and designers today. Imagine a modern textile artist drawing patterns from the lush landscapes and complex figures seen in works from this period, creating fabrics that evoke the same sense of wonder and beauty. Moreover, the legacy of Flemish artists can be observed in the way art is curated and displayed. The practice of creating thematic exhibitions where artworks are grouped not merely by artist but by shared narrative or symbolism reflects the intentions of these early masters, who often infused their works with layers of meaning designed to spark contemplation and dialogue. This curatorial approach allows contemporary viewers to engage with art in a manner that honors the complexity and richness of its history. In education, the teachings of Flemish artists remain integral to art curricula around the world. Students of art history often study their works to understand the evolution of technique, symbolism, and thematic narrative. Imagine art students poring over high-resolution images of Van Eyck's masterpieces, analyzing his brushwork and color choices and contemplating how to apply these lessons in their own creative practices. The dialogue between past and present continues, ensuring that the legacy of these artists thrives in new generations of creators. As we reflect on the enduring influence of 15th-century Flemish artists, it's clear that their contributions have woven a rich tapestry that connects centuries of artistic expression. Their innovations in technique, exploration of human emotion, and use of symbolism have laid the foundation for contemporary art practices, creating a bridge that spans time and culture. With this appreciation of their legacy, we now shift our focus to the diverse expressions of art beyond the canvas. In our next section, we'll explore the variety of artistic forms that flourished during this period, from textiles to sculpture, and how they contributed to the vibrant cultural landscape of 15th-century Flanders. Prepare to discover the broader artistic expressions that defined this remarkable era. As we expand our exploration beyond the canvas to the diverse artistic expressions that flourished in 15th-century Flanders, imagine a bustling workshop filled not just with painters, but with artisans skilled in various crafts, each contributing to a vibrant cultural tapestry. Flanders was not only a crucible for painters like Jan van Eyck and Rogier van der Weyden, but also a thriving hub for other forms of artistic expression, including textiles, sculpture, and decorative arts that enriched the lives of the people. Textile production was one of the most significant artistic endeavors in Flanders during this period. The region became renowned for its luxury fabrics, including rich woolen tapestries and intricate silks. Imagine walking through a market where ornate tapestries hang, their vibrant colors and complex designs telling stories of mythological themes or daily life. These textiles were often commissioned by wealthy patrons to serve as both decoration and insulation, transforming the interiors of their homes and churches into environments of beauty and grandeur. The intricate craftsmanship involved in tapestry weaving was akin to painting, requiring an understanding of design, color, and texture. Just as a painter meticulously layered oil paints, a weaver would skillfully combine threads to create depth and detail. The resulting works were not merely decorative, they were narratives woven into fabric, providing a window into the world of the artist and the society that commissioned them. Historians still debate the extent to which Flemish tapestries influenced the broader art world. Some argue that they served as a precursor to modern textile art, while others contend they were integral to the development of narrative painting, as they often depicted scenes that would later inspire compositions in oils. This interplay between different artistic forms mirrors contemporary dialogues around interdisciplinary practices, where artists draw inspiration from various media to create innovative work. Sculpture was another vital aspect of artistic expression in Flanders during this time. While monumental sculpture was less common than in other regions, smaller-scale sculptures flourished, particularly in the form of altarpieces and devotional figures. Imagine walking into a church where wooden or stone figures of saints and biblical characters stand vigil, their expressions captured in exquisite detail. These sculptures served not only as religious icons, but also as focal points for contemplation and devotion, bridging the gap between the physical world and the spiritual. The craftsmanship involved in creating these sculptures was highly regarded, and many artists thrived in this field. Just as painters were often members of guilds, sculptors formed their own communities, collaborating and sharing techniques. This sense of camaraderie among artists is reminiscent of today's creative collectives, where collaboration often leads to new and exciting artistic explorations. In addition to textiles and sculpture, decorative arts flourished in 15th century Flanders. The production of intricate metalwork, pottery and glassware showcased the region's innovation and creativity. Imagine a craftsman carefully shaping a piece of glass, transforming molten material into delicate forms that would catch the light beautifully. Such works were prized not only for their function, but also for their artistry, reflecting the same values of beauty and craftsmanship that defined the painting of the era. The rich interplay between these various artistic forms allowed for a holistic cultural experience in Flanders. Artists and artisans exchanged ideas and techniques, creating a dynamic environment that fostered creativity and innovation. This interconnectedness is akin to the modern art scene, where collaboration across disciplines often leads to groundbreaking works that challenge traditional boundaries. Interestingly, many of these artistic expressions were influenced by the broader cultural shifts occurring in Europe during this time. The Renaissance had begun to spread, and with it came a renewed interest in classical themes, humanism, and the exploration of the individual. This spirit of inquiry and innovation permeated not just painting but also sculpture, textiles, and decorative arts, creating a rich cultural dialogue. As we consider these diverse artistic expressions, it becomes evident that the legacy of 15th century Flemish art is not limited to oil paintings alone. The tapestry of creativity woven through various mediums reflects a society that valued beauty and craftsmanship in all aspects of life. Each piece, whether a painting, sculpture, or textile, contributed to the identity of the region and its people, creating a cultural richness that continues to inspire artists today. With this exploration of artistic diversity in mind, our journey now leads us to the vibrant cultural festivals and celebrations that characterized life in 15th century Flanders. In our next section, we'll dive into these lively events, uncovering how they not only provided inspiration for artists but also fostered community, joy, and a collective identity among the people. Prepare to experience the colourful tapestry of life that infused creativity into the very fabric of Flemish society. As we step into the vibrant world of cultural festivals and celebrations in 15th century Flanders, imagine the air filled with the sounds of music, laughter, and the lively chatter of townsfolk gathered in the town. These communal events were pivotal to the social fabric of society, providing opportunities for artists to draw inspiration while also serving as a celebration of local culture, identity, and creativity. Flanders was known for its rich tapestry of festivals, many of which had deep-rooted traditions tied to the agricultural calendar, religious observances, and local customs. Picture a bustling market, where vendors sell everything from fresh produce to handmade crafts, while musicians play lively tunes nearby and children dart between the stalls. This atmosphere of festivity would have provided fertile ground for artists to observe and capture the rhythms of everyday life, each moment a potential subject for a painting or sculpture. One of the most significant festivals was the Feast of the Assumption, celebrated with much pomp and grandeur. Imagine towns adorned with colourful banners and flowers, with processions winding through the streets, led by religious figures and accompanied by musicians. The faithful would gather to witness the celebrations, which included not just religious ceremonies, but also theatrical performances, dances, and feasts. Such events were an artistic spectacle, showcasing not only the talents of the performers, but also the artistry involved in decorations and costumes. The connection between these festivals and the arts is profound. The vibrant imagery of these celebrations often found its way into the works of local artists, who sought to capture the essence of the community spirit. From scenes of merriment in the town square to depictions of religious processions, these artworks served not only as records of the events, but also as expressions of cultural identity. Just as contemporary artists draw from modern festivals and celebrations for inspiration, so too did the Flemish masters. Historians still explore the impact of these communal gatherings on the artistic output of the time. Did the festive atmosphere stimulate creativity and collaboration among artists? Or were they merely observers, capturing the joy of others? Regardless of the specifics, it is evident that these events provided a wellspring of themes that artists could tap into, enriching their artistic repertoire. The celebration of local and religious holidays also fostered a sense of community among the people. Imagine families coming together to partake in the festivities, sharing meals, stories, and laughter. This communal spirit was reflected in the art produced during this time, which often portrayed collective experiences and universal themes of joy, love, and faith. Much like today's community festivals that bring together diverse groups to celebrate shared experiences, these gatherings strengthened social bonds and reinforced cultural identity. In addition to religious festivals, various seasonal fairs and markets catered to the needs of the population, featuring entertainment, games, and competitions. Imagine a bustling harvest festival where locals come together to celebrate the bounty of their labor. The presence of artists and performers at these events would have been common, with musicians entertaining the crowds and painters capturing the scenes as they unfolded. These lively occasions provided artists with a dynamic environment to observe human behavior, emotions, and interactions elements that would find their way into their art. Interestingly, the artistic expressions inspired by these festivals often transcended the boundaries of religious and secular themes. Artists began to explore the intersection of joy and spirituality, capturing the essence of celebration as a form of communion with the divine. This blending of the sacred and the secular resonates in today's art practices, where artists often seek to explore complex themes that reflect the duality of human experience. As we reflect on the vibrant cultural festivals of 15th century Flanders, it becomes clear that these gatherings were not only moments of joy, but also significant sources of inspiration for artists. The lively interactions, shared experiences, and communal spirit infused the artistic landscape with themes of humanity and connection, ultimately enriching the works produced during this remarkable period. With this understanding of the cultural vibrancy that permeated Flemish society, we now turn our attention to a gentle conclusion of our historical journey. In our final section, we'll reflect on the gentle lives of the artists we've encountered and the lasting peace their work brings to our modern world. Prepare to embrace the calmness that comes from contemplating the beauty and depth of art across time. As we approach the gentle conclusion of our journey through the world of 15th century Flemish artists, allow yourself to take a moment to breathe deeply, reflecting on the lives and works we have explored together. Picture a serene landscape, perhaps reminiscent of the tranquil scenes captured by artists like Jan van Eyck. Rolling hills, quiet villages, and soft sunsets that imbue the world with a sense of peace. In contemplating the lives of these artists, we uncover not only their creative brilliance but also the profound simplicity and beauty that permeated their existence. The 15th century was a time of great transition in Flanders, where art flourished against a backdrop of economic growth, cultural exchange, and spiritual exploration. Artists were not just creators, they were integral members of their communities, immersed in the daily rhythms of life. Imagine an artist setting their brush down at the end of a long day, stepping outside to enjoy the evening air, surrounded by the laughter and camaraderie of neighbors. This connection to their environment and community infused their work with authenticity and warmth, allowing them to capture the essence of human experience in ways that continue to resonate today. As we reflect on the gentle lives of these artists, it becomes clear that their dedication to their craft was paralleled by a deep appreciation for the world around them. They found beauty in the everyday, be it a simple loaf of bread, a child playing in the streets, or the sacred moments of devotion captured in a chapel. Their ability to elevate the mundane into the realm of art is a reminder that creativity exists all around us, waiting to be discovered in the simplest of moments. Moreover, the themes of faith and spirituality woven throughout their works echo the universal human experience of seeking connection with something greater than ourselves. The intricate symbolism embedded in their paintings invites viewers to contemplate life's mysterious questions of identity, love, and mortality. Just as viewers today may find solace and inspiration in an artwork, the people of 15th century Flanders experienced their faith and community reflected in the art that surrounded them, creating a sense of belonging and understanding. Historians continue to explore the impact of these artists on subsequent generations, noting how their innovations in technique and thematic exploration laid the groundwork for the evolution of art in Europe. The legacy of Jan van Eyck and his contemporaries is felt not only in the realm of painting but also in the broader cultural landscape, shaping the way we engage with art today. Their commitment to craftsmanship and the pursuit of beauty reminds us that artistry is not merely about the final product, but also about the journey of creation. As we ponder the gentle lives of these artists, we can appreciate the serene moments that punctuated their days, quiet reflections in their studios, the joy of sharing meals with loved ones, and the exhilaration of participating in local celebrations. These experiences enriched their creativity and resulted in works that resonate with authenticity and emotional depth. The artworks they created invite us to pause and reflect, offering a calming presence in our own busy lives. In this modern age, where the pace of life often feels overwhelming, we can find comfort in the timeless beauty of their art. The gentle brushstrokes, the delicate play of light, and the poignant narratives captured in their paintings serve as reminders of the simplicity and joy that can be found in everyday life. They encourage us to slow down, to appreciate the world around us, and to connect with our own humanity. As we conclude our journey through the gentle lives of 15th century Flemish artists, let us carry with us the lessons learned from their dedication to their craft, their connection to their community, and their ability to find beauty in the ordinary. May we seek to embrace our own creativity, allowing it to flourish in the quiet moments of our lives. Thank you for joining me on this exploration of history and art. As you drift into a restful sleep, may the gentle spirits of these artists accompany you, inspiring dreams filled with beauty, creativity, and a deeper appreciation for the world around you. As we find ourselves gently concluding our journey through the rich tapestry of 15th century Flemish art and the lives of its remarkable artists, take a moment to let the imagery of this era settle in your mind. Picture the serene landscapes, the vibrant market scenes, and the intricate details of the masterpieces that have echoed through time. The world of these artists was not just one of paint and canvas. It was a world deeply intertwined with their community, spirituality, and the human experience. The gentle lives of artists like Jan van Eyck and Rogier van der Weyden remind us that creativity flourished in an environment where daily life, faith, and artistic expression coexisted harmoniously. Imagine an artist, brush in hand, pausing to gaze out at the bustling streets filled with people, their laughter merging with the sounds of nature. It is in these moments that inspiration strikes, an interplay of life and art that creates something truly beautiful. Each painting, tapestry, and sculpture from this period tells a story that extends beyond its frame. These works are reflections of the values, struggles, and aspirations of the people who lived in Flanders centuries ago. They invite us to explore the depths of human emotion and to connect with the experiences of those who came before us. In this way, art serves as a bridge through time, linking us to the past while resonating within our contemporary lives. As you settle into a comfortable space, consider how the themes of community, faith, and the celebration of everyday life are woven into the fabric of these artists' works. Their art encourages us to embrace the beauty that surrounds us, to cherish our connections with others, and to find joy in the simple moments that make life rich and meaningful. Just as the artists of Flanders found inspiration in their surroundings, we too can cultivate our creativity by being present in the world around us. In our fast-paced modern lives, it can be easy to overlook the small wonders that fill our days. The gentle brush of a breeze, the laughter of a friend, or the beauty of a sunset. These moments are reminders that life is full of inspiration waiting to be acknowledged. Just as these artists infused their works with the essence of their experiences, we can strive to bring our own stories and emotions into our creative pursuits. Historians have long marveled at the impact of Flemish art on the broader narrative of European art history. The legacy of these artists continues to be felt in galleries and studios around the world. Their dedication to mastery, innovation, and the exploration of human emotion set the groundwork for generations of artists to follow. Imagine the flicker of inspiration igniting in a modern artist's mind, sparked by the beauty of a Jan van Eyck painting or the intricate detail of a Rogier van der Weyden work. This legacy is not just historical. It is alive, breathing, and evolving in the artistic expressions of today. As we settle into the quiet after this journey, allow the lessons from these artists to wash over you like a gentle wave. Embrace your own creativity, honor your connections with others, and find solace in the beauty that exists in the world. Just as the Flemish artists captured the essence of their time, you too have the power to express your own life stories through art, words, or whatever medium resonates with you. So, let us take these reflections into the night. As you drift into sleep, may you find comfort in the knowledge that art has the power to transcend time, bridging the gap between past and present. Let the gentle spirits of these 15th century artists accompany your dreams, inspiring you to explore the beauty of your own world and the stories that await to be told. Thank you for embarking on this historical journey with me. May your dreams be filled with the colors, sounds, and inspirations of a time when art was a living, breathing part of everyday life.